Hey there, welcome. This is Pillow Talk with Tanya, a show where each week I'll be inviting you into my bed to have a little chat about love and relationships. This week I have Willie and Patrice with Don't Jump Life Coaching Solutions. Hi, Willie. Hi, Patrice. How are you?
Hey.
Hey, Tan, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's fantastic to have you. So, I initially was drawn to you guys because of your focus on blended families. I think that's such a unique niche. And tell us a little bit why you chose that niche.
Well, because number one, we are a blended family, and Willie and I have been together for 13 years.
2.5 weeks.
And he came with two boys, and I came with three kids of my own, and so we have a blended family.
Okay, fantastic. So, tell me a little bit about how you guys met.
All right, this is the fun part. So we actually met in 2012 in the early spring or late spring or late winter rather of 2012 via match.com.
Ooh. Okay, interesting. So you were both on the dating app Match.com, and who started the conversation?
I think he started the conversation. I was on Match for the 30-day trial. So
Okay.
I was going to meet somebody or not. After the 30 days, I was not moving forward with staying on it because I had been divorced for I guess about 3, maybe 4 years. And it was just something my friends had talked me into doing. And because it had a 30-day trial. And I said, I'll do it for those 30 days and then I'm out. And then I don't know, Willie started have a conversation, and we kind of connected through that. And then we decided to, I think the 30 days was up, so we exchanged numbers, and then we decided to go on a little date.
Oh,
Yeah, and
fantastic.
what's ironic about that, Tan, is that we both signed up. Well, I had done match.com before, and needless to say, it didn't work out. Um, So I had done it before, and this was my last 30-day free trial as well. So we both went into it with the idea that it's either 30 days or bust.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it ended up being not a bust. So like she said, we exchanged numbers and had a few phone conversations after the messaging back and forth. And then we finally decided, or I finally worked up the nerve, let me put it that way, to actually ask her out for a gathering. She won't call it a date, but I call it a date.
It wasn't a
and
date
where did you?
because I wasn't sure about it. Wasn't quite sure.
Right. Okay. And was it a gathering? Were there other people involved, or was it just the two of you?
No, he says that because I don't want to call it a date because we had never met in person. And because we
Right.
had never met in person, I'm like, I don't know if this guy really is who he is or who I've been talking to. Let me see. And so we decided to meet up. We met for coffee at Starbucks. He doesn't drink coffee, but we met for coffee. And the conversation was great. He had me laughing and we were talking. It was engaging conversation. I think it was like 2 hours later,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
and then he said, "Well, let's go to why don't we take this to dinner?" And I
Okay.
said, "Okay." I said, "Yeah, I'll be interested in going for dinner." And maybe that part was the date part.
Oh gosh.
And so you did dinner the same day.
The same day. And then
Oh,
I think
wow.
we were together again for another 2.5 hours, talking and laughing and having great conversation.
Yeah,
Oh,
and what's
interesting.
funny about that is that I took her to a place. It was I don't know if you guys have them there in Canada. It's a place called Genghis Grill. It's like hibachi. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's like
Hibachi is a great date idea.
yeah, it's like hibachi. So she had never eaten there before. And I, of course, I'm a,
Connoisseur.
yeah, I'm a restaurant connoisseur. So I said, let's go over here to Ginga's Grill. I said, you ever been? She said, no. I said, you're going to love it. And we went and she loved the food. I think she actually liked the food more than she liked me at the time, but that's okay.
That's not true. That's not true. He was
Fantastic. Okay, and when would you say that you knew that this was something special, something serious?
well, I thought he was great. However, this is okay. However, I don't know what did I end up telling you?
Uh,
Did I say I told him that I was gonna call him back. We were talking and I told him I'll call him back in a little bit, and I didn't.
no. That was way before. That was before we even. That was right when we exchanged numbers.
Mm-hmm.
She asked, "When did you know it was going to be special?"
Oh, when I was gonna know it was be special.
Or did you? Or do you? Are you still thinking about it? She's still thinking about it, Tanya.
She's not convinced yet.
I wasn't convinced at the time. I mean, we were having. I had been in a marriage before, and had been married for 20 years,
Right.
and divorced, and I wasn't really into this dating thing because I had been out of the game for over 20 years, and so I wasn't really sure about it. But the thing that I discovered about Willie was that he was in it to find a wife, and I was just seeing how this single life was, and he had been single longer than I had, and he was ready to find a wife. And so I think that was the difference. And I remember at one point he said, if we're not doing this to go further, because I'm looking for a wife, not a good time, then we can end the conversation. And I thought, oh my gosh, did
The
he
nerve of him
to say that to me? Okay. And I was really shocked. And I had to really think about what it was that I wanted.
Well,
Okay.
can I add to that? Just what's so funny about that is that we actually were on our way to a function at my church, now our church. We were on our way to a function at the church, and I told her, I said, look, I'm not doing this for S's and G's. I'm doing this for the long term. And this is how my face was when I said it to her. So
very serious.
Yeah, and I could tell that she was kind of taken aback, but
Very taken aback.
I had to let her know up front because I had to let her know up front because there's too many guys out here that just won't be straight up enough with women to tell them, look, this is what my expectation is. And if you can't reach it, or if that's not what you see,
you don't have the same goals.
Yeah, then guess what? We need to part ways now and don't waste any more of our time.
Yeah. No, I admire the honesty, and it's actually refreshing to find someone who knows what they want, because I think a lot of people don't really even know what they want. That's why they can't express it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And did you have any hesitations or fears about blending your family?
Oh my gosh, yes. This is a scary thing to blend families. It's not easy. It's a challenge. And so there were some challenges and some scary moments in that. And then, we talked and we had a couple of dates. My kids knew about him, and I think his kids knew about me, but we waited before. Your kids did not know about me. And then I know we waited before we introduced our kids to each other, and to mine to him and his kids to me.
And then the kids to each other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that go?
That first meeting was
strange.
It was a little awkward because we met at her youngest son played baseball at that time. And I had told my boys, I said, look, we're going to go over here and watched my new lady and her son play baseball, and they were like, "Huh?" I mean, they had known about her, but they didn't like. They just it was like in one ear and out the other, because at that time they were like what 11 and 12, 12 and 13, something like that. So when we all met up at the baseball field, I thought it was a cool introduction, and my boys being boys, they ended up wrestling out there and they flipped each other on the ground. And her kids were like, "Oh my gosh, they're rough." I'm like, "Well, they boys." So
I have 2 girls and 1 boy. So it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be a little awkward, but in the end, it turned out all right, obviously.
This is today. Today, yes.
The story's still being written.
Right.
Yes, the kids get along and they are they're friends and everything's great.
Yeah, it was just like anything else.
It takes time.
It takes time, transition, change. One of the things that people fear and hate the most is change. And for me, and particularly my sons, they had never seen me they only saw me as dad. They never saw me as a man.
Right.
So that was something that was very different for them, because they knew that they were always first for me, always, every single time. And honestly, that is the reason why some of the other relationships, or really, I guess all of the relationships, didn't work out, because they were like, "You love those, you put those boys in front of everything," and they were right. But I had to grow to the point to where I was able to work up the nerve to tell her, "Look, if you're not in this for the long run, that's it. We're done. We're done right now." But I had grown into that at that point, because I knew what I want. I knew what I was looking for. I knew I was tired of the BS. I was tired of actually, I was actually going broke from having to pay for everybody's dinners and going on dates and movies and stuff. So when it got to that point, I was like, okay. And it gets a little.
I think you were willing at that point to open up.
Yeah, and what I was going to say too, Tan, is that it gets a little hairy when she has an ex and I have an ex.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex was the ex from hell.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
At that time.
Oh yeah, at that time.
So how did you navigate that? That would have been difficult.
It was difficult. And I think the biggest part was that because it was negative on their point, as far as the kids concerned, I wasn't something that they were looking forward to. But when the kids would come visit him, he would come visit us as well, and they weren't on board at all because their mom wasn't on board. And I think after, and I don't think that actually changed until she realized that I wasn't a threat for her or the boys. I was just an extension of someone that was going to love them as well. And I think after she realized that part, things became better.
I think it was just the unknown, the uncharted territory. It's kind of like being a parent. You're learning things in real time, and it's like on the job training. So the unknown aspect of it, for me as an individual, my biggest fear was that I wasn't going to sabotage the relationship like I had done so many times before.
Yeah, and I think my biggest fear was the kids.
Right.
Focus was the kids.
Yeah. And how did you guys overcome that?
Well, it took some time. None of it is easy. And, we just did step by step. We decided to introduce the kids. We decided to create some instances where they could spend some time together, do fun things. We went swimming together. We did some outings together.
Barbecues.
I think we went to Six Flags. different things that we were trying to create moments that they could help in the blend.
Right. Some fun.
Yeah.
So, and relax, like get rid of the awkwardness.
Yeah, nothing serious.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. If you could go back in time and give yourselves one piece of advice before you got together and blended the family, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Whew.
Because when you look at it now, and things are great now, but it took some time. We're not telling anybody that it's easy, because it's not. You have to have a plan. You have to understand that, we even went to marriage counseling, and
A few times.
then and what we were told is that our biggest
Obstacle.
if you will, would be the kids,
Right.
and how we responded based on how they felt.
Yeah, and what we were told in counseling was the fact that the kids could have been the primary factor of us splitting up.
And so that's why we think it's important for people who have blended families to know that you have to have a plan. It's not going to be easy. All parties have to participate in trying to make it work, and it's going to take adjustment.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell myself looking back. What is the plan? And when that plan doesn't work, what is
The audible.
the next plan?
Plan A, plan B.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last plan is not to give up.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of key, right?
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of a key.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. So, do you have any advice that you would give to other single parents that are navigating the dating world?
Yes.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Understand that the family does not begin when kids are involved. The family starts when the husband and the wife become one. So the husband and the wife become one, whether there are kids involved in it or not. The spouses have to be on the same page at the same time, or at least in the same chapter all the time. So what I would say is, don't allow past hurts and disappointments to hinder your present and your future.
And I would say be open. I think the reason why our situation worked is that Willie was open when we would have conversations about, blending the family and things and we parent differently. That was the number one thing that we realized, that we were raised differently. So therefore we parent differently. And so that can create some obstacles within itself. But I would allow him to be himself, and he would allow me to be myself. And then not in front of the kids, but then privately, we would discuss, why he felt the need to approach a situation the way he approached the situation, and how I approached the situation. He listened to me and I listened to him. And then because we were listening and because we wanted it to work, this allowed us to create, to navigate exactly what was happening in our family dynamic.
Right.
And so number one, be open.
Yeah, very good advice. I would agree.
Yeah,
awesome.
And another thing too is allow the other parent to be the other parent. We may not have the same style. And when I say we, I mean people or parents in general. We may not always have the same style. And I know it's supposed to be that way, because when you have a man and a woman that are married and they're in the house and the families and there's kids involved, the balance between what a man brings and what a female or what a woman brings is absolutely critical. And we still are learning that to this day, and our kids are all of age,
Adults.
22 years and up, so
21.
I always go by the next birthday.
Our youngest 21.
21. So we're still learning that, and then it's easier for us to have those discussions, those hard discussions now about, well, babe, maybe you should have thought about doing it this way or saying it this way. And I'm way more open to it now than I was 10 years ago because of the way that I was raised and the type of parent that I was to just two boys. And now there's two girls and the youngest being a boy is involved. So it's like a minefield. It's like a battlefield, but we understand that the ultimate battle plan comes from the Lord above. And he actually gives us the perfect example of what to do, but more importantly, what not to do.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that because I think there's a lot of people that struggle in that parenting dynamic. They want to do it their way and their partner wants to do it the other way. And yeah, the fact that you can let that be and then talk about it later is really good advice, I think.
Yeah.
And I think one more thing that I thought was very important in as we were navigating it, the one thing that my husband was, he was raised with as a man, that those kids have to respect me and what I say. And then, and as the female, I would tell them that that's easy to do when the kids that's not your birth kids feel love first. Love has to come first before there's respect. Because once they know that they're loved, then it's easy to listen to whatever it is that you have to say, whether they like it or not, that they know that they're loved first. So what was important for me, for his kids, no matter what, I just showed love. They knew that I had their best, I'm thinking of them and I wanted the best for them and that I loved them. And I think it made it easier to navigate anything I asked them to do, or how we became, eventually became a blended family, was through the love.
And not just a blended family, but a blended family that has evolved into a place to where we can look back and say, you know what? If we would have had a couple like Willie and Patrice coaching us through this, then we would have 100% taken advantage of it and even paid for the service. That's how much we have grown, not just as individuals, as husband and wife, but as mom and dad, or stepmom or stepdad, or bonus mom or bonus, or whatever the case may be. And now I feel like the energy has completely shifted, and the children that are not children anymore, but the kids now, they feel the difference.
That's great. Nice. Okay, awesome. That was lovely. Thanks so much. I have one last question. It's a fun one. So this one's for each of you to answer about the other person. So okay. Willie, do you know what Patrice wants for her birthday this year or next year, if it's already happened?
Well, we haven't really talked about it much, because there's a lot of things happening at the same time, and her birthday is only 3 months away. But I will know eventually, and I do know that it needs to be something shiny.
Okay.
Check for that.
Okay, nice. And what about you, Patrice? Do you know what Willie wants for his birthday this year?
I think it would involve any tickets to a football game, a basketball game, the Super Bowl. Super Bowl tickets would be great.
Ooh,
like it, right?
Great.
It comes around during his birthday.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right.
So, Willie, guess what?
We got 2 more tickets.
No,
Oh,
you won't know yet.
okay. Well, I mean, you got plenty of time to work up to. You still got 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start saving. I hear they're expensive.
They are. We'll be nearby.
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It was lovely to speak with you both. And yeah, I wish you all the best and hope to have you back on sometime.
Thank you.
for sure. Thank you for having us.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank
take
you.
care.